Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. I wanted to do a little Power Rangers discussion video on the rollout of Dino Fury, and more so talking about the toys and not the show itself, and just how weirdly calm and subdued and kind of lackluster it's been. Like, I think the rollout for the show itself, in terms of promotion, has been about the same as always. It felt like it was a little bit down to the wire. That could have just been me, but for the show itself, pretty much business as usual. You know, same trailers and buzzwords with even more zing and pep. But I wanted to talk about the rollout of the toys, mainly because I feel that ever since I've been into Power Rangers, there was always this nice pre-hype and hype lead-in with the merchandise. Especially with Bandai, you know, that is one thing I for sure miss about Bandai, is I always loved that the toys would come out at the holiday season, so it was like extra hype, and like pretty much everything in the main line would come out around the same time. Like right now we always have a delay with the Zords coming out in the second half, mainly in the fall. That started with Beast Morphers, and there would maybe be a little bit of delay in Bandai, but for the most part, you would find the Megazords, the figures, the Morphers, some of the bonus stuff, and like all the core stuff around the same time. And by the time you hit Christmas, usually most of it was on the shelf, especially around Christmas time at Toys R Us. That would be like a full display, so it would be extra exciting. And there was a bit of change with Hasbro because, you know, they have distribution differences. We also had to have that weird handoff between the licenses. But I think that Beast Morphers had a much more exciting rollout. I think in part because it was the first time Hasbro had the reins of the toys in the show. There was an excitement around us using Go Busters, whether you were like me and was just excited because it was Go Busters, or I feel like even people that weren't that excited were just generally surprised that we were going back to it. And we had that big toy fair showing, and you know, they showed all the main stuff, even if it wasn't coming out right away. We got to see it, it looked good. They had all the Play School stuff and the little minifigures. What happened to those, man? And the Lightning Collection, and it just felt huge and exciting. And then when it came out, we didn't have as much stuff as we did with, you know, past Bandai seasons, and it came out February, March, as opposed to the holidays. And I think the first things to come out in like the first wave of what you would see is the Morpher, the figures, the Nutcrackers, and then the Nutcracker Megazords. And I think that was, and then I think what trickled out was the Cheetah Beast Blaster, but those were the core four things. And like once they started to get main shipments, once Beast Morphers was on the TV, almost at the shelves, but that's what I meant too, but on the TV, you could go to the store and you would see that stuff. You didn't have the main Zords or the big display yet, but you had a solid display. So if you were a kid and you watched Beast Morphers and you were excited, you would go down to Target and they would have the Morphers and the figures and the already put together, you know, Red Racer Zord and the Nutcrackers. And it wasn't like a full big Toys R Us display, but it was a solid presence. And it was decently exciting. I still missed having the Zords coming out, but it was a very solid first outing. And then Season 2's was pretty lackluster, and it was again different because they weren't going for the super season. This is a whole other series type of launch. You know, that's what the whole purpose of the super seasons was, so that they could have a similar exciting launch for Bandai. But they didn't really go with that here, though there did seem to be a central theming around the lion being like the new thing for Season 2. And everyone's experience is going to be different, and I'll ask you again at the end, but I want to know your guys' experiences with Power Rangers Stock in terms of Beast Morphers and Dino Fury. Because for me, in terms of Season 2 stuff, by the time we got to the end of Season 1, we generally the stock at my stores had dwindled to like a little below half stock state, and it just kind of stayed at that. And when Season 2 came out, I saw the Morphers, I found that first thing, and then after that, the only thing I ever saw on the shelves Season 2 related semi-consistently was the Electronic Beast X King, and then some of the Season 2 figures, like the lion armor, which was never in the show. But I saw that super late in the game, and I only saw it a couple times, but I never saw the saber, I never saw the blaster, I never saw much of anything else to make me think, oh, Season 2 toys have hit the shelves. I saw like 3 things semi-consistently, and then it dwindled after that. And so that was weird, but you know, it was only the second season. But Dino Furies has felt really lackluster. As of this recording, all we've gotten is the Morpher, those battle figures, and in Canada, they were regularly spotting the basic figures on their shelves, but in the US, they've kind of gone in and out of stock on Amazon and Entertainment Earth, but they haven't shown up on shelves yet, and they're holding back Green and Black, so it's just the Core 3 and then Boom Tower. But it just feels like such a lackluster launch for hype for the show. I mean, Dino Fury has been premiered for a couple weeks now, so if you're a kid, like I said, when you go to see Beast Morphers, you'd find a good stock on the shelves after watching it. But if you go to Dino Fury, you'll maybe find a Morpher, maybe one of those battle things, but it just seems so lackluster. And I know they're saving the Zords and stuff, but I kind of expected there to be more of a solid showing with the figures and stuff, and maybe one other thing, kind of like with Beast Morphers. It wasn't as substantial of a rollout as Bandai's, but it was a solid presence that could generate excitement for the season, whether you had seen it yet or not. And this not only feels lackluster in terms of the amount of things that are being released, but the stock itself. As of right now, if I go to my stores, a lot of them, I'm talking about Target and Walmart primarily. That's usually where I find stuff. I know some people have like alternate universe stars like Mayer, but I don't. But those are the primary ones that carry it. But if I were to go to my stores that I've been checking, some of them, I would say maybe 30-40%, don't even have anything. Like they're probably getting ready for Dino Fury, but they don't have anything at all. Most of my Targets have some displaced Lightning Collection 2-packs or villains. And by displaced, I mean they're not like in a place that says Power Rangers. Like some of them will be over here, some of them over there, just randomly put. And then my Walmarts either have nothing, or they have a very small handful of Dino Fury Morphers and some leftover Beast X King Sabers, and they've reduced what is the Power Rangers section to something like this small, and they always put it next to something that makes it blend in. So oftentimes I'll loop the toy section and be like, oh, this is one of the ones that doesn't have it, and I'll make one more trip and I'll see it in the corner where it's hidden. So it just feels like such a lackluster excitement for the series, and I kind of wanted to talk about that and see what your guys' experiences were with that. I hope going forward with whatever the franchise is doing for the remainder of Dino Fury and then next, that there's more of a coinciding of the hype and the toys again. I miss that. I feel like that was part of the experience, and Hasbro can do that with like Star Wars and Marvel and stuff. You know, they'll have some stuff that correspond to each other, and I hope we have more of that in the future, where when whatever the new thing comes out, the toys are there, both more in timing and in presence. But I want to know what your guys' experiences are in terms of the stock on your shelves in the Hasbro era from Beast Morphers going into Dino Fury. Let me know in the comments. As always, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can see my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.